Yo, what's going on, people? Thank you for tuning in. As always, if you haven't did so yet, please subscribe to the channel. Also, to hit that notification button so you know when I put up another video, man. You know what I'm saying? But thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody who follows me. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, man. But yo, I want to talk about the Jake Paul and the Joshua fight, man. Growing up, I used to be a real big boxing fan. I mean, I grew up on Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield and George Foreman in his later years. I was a real big boxing fan. I love boxing. My grandpops, was a huge boxing fan. He's the one that really got me into watching boxing. You know what I'm saying? Because he boxed in the military, so he had a great sense of boxing and the essence of boxing and the art form. Boxing is an art form. So growing up as a kid, watching some boxing fights with my grandpops, that's one of the things I loved doing when I went over to my grandparents' house. So boxing at the time in its heyday in the 80s, early 90s, man, it was something that was amazing. You know what I'm saying? Growing up as a kid, the Mike Tyson run and Vander Holyfield, his little run. Huge boxing fan, man. I can go into Michael Spinks and you know what I'm saying, fights like that. I kind of missed not kind of, but I did. I missed the Muhammad Ali era. I wish I was around at those times. Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, and those guys. Ken Norton, Senior. Like I said, man, I love boxing, man. You know what I'm saying? But now where boxing stands, boxing has become WWE. And I just feel like, where boxing is at right now, it's the heavyweight division is not what it used to be. I mean, boxing as a whole, like it's really no big time boxing matches that you get excited for anymore. It's becoming a sideshow now. You got these guys that who are YouTube influencers getting in the ring with professional fighters, and they're throwing the fights, and it's boxing is becoming one big mess. I don't like where it's at today, and I wish somebody would clean it up and get it back to the golden era of boxing, which was the 80s and the early 90s, and maybe some of the early 2000s, man. You know what I'm saying? Roy Jones in his prime. Oh my God. Roy Jones in his prime was something to see, man. A lot of you young cats who didn't see Roy Jones in his prime, cats like that, Vander Holyfield in his prime, man, you guys really missed out, man. Because right now where boxing is at is trash. It's trash. So Jake Paul gets knocked out. And my take on it is I think the whole thing was rigged from the jump, man. I think that Joshua, the professional fighter Joshua, he was holding back. Like I watched highlights of the fight. I didn't even watch the whole fight. And it looked like he was holding back in that fight. It looked like to me that he could have taken out Jake Paul a lot sooner. He could have taken Jake Paul out in the first round if he really wanted to. You know what I'm saying? And I cannot believe that boxing is coming to the point to where you got influencers jumping in the ring with guys who really do this for a living. And, it's just where boxing is at. And me being a big fan of boxing, it's sad to see where it's at today. What is becoming a gimmicky, it's not real boxing, man. And I have to blame like Floyd for this. You know what I'm saying? Towards the end of Floyd's career, he started doing like gimmicky fights. You know what I'm saying? Because he ducked a lot of people in his era that he possibly could have lost to. Like Floyd ducked a couple fights, man. You know, Manny Pacquiao was one of those fights that he ducked. Was a guy he ducked for a long time, and you know, in the Floyd Mayweather era, you know, he ducked a lot of guys up until they were past their prime. You know what I'm saying? He didn't fight. What's your name? Who did he fight? He didn't fight. What's the cat's name, man? Sugar Shane Mosley. He didn't fight him until he was past his prime, and Sugar Shane almost, got him on the canvas almost. I'm not taking anything away from Floyd. Floyd, when he was in his prime, you know what I'm saying? When Floyd was in his prime, it was an amazing thing to see. But once Floyd got past his prime, he started having a lot of hand injuries in his era of fighting. Um, he no longer became a knockout artist. You know, early in Floyd's career, he was knocking people out. You know what I'm saying? And once he started getting a lot of hand injuries, that kind of changed, and he became more of a technical fighter. He was always a defensive fighter, but he stepped it up later in years. But as a boxing fan and seeing Jake Paul get put to the ground, I think it was all staged. I think it was all rigged. I think the whole thing was rigged from the jump. Like I said, this guy could have taken out Jake Paul in the first round. Jake Paul has only been fighting 5 years, man. And you cannot, man, come on, man. You cannot step in the ring with a professional fighter who's been doing this all his life, who's been doing this since he was a shorty, and you only got 5 years of training. You think you're going to jump in the ring with a professional fighter and have a chance to even win? You got to be kidding me. Now, this Joshua cat, I don't know too much about him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know too much about him. You know what I mean? But I know that, to me, looking at the highlights that I looked at in this fight, and to me, it looks like he took a stand for boxing, like to get this guy out of here, because he's making a mockery of boxing, and that's what he was doing. In the Tyson fight, let's talk about the Tyson fight, Jake Paul and Tyson fight. Now, come on now. Tyson was holding back in that fight as well. Tyson had many openings to hit Jake Paul in that fight, and Tyson pulled back. You know what I'm saying? Roy Jones, when he fought Tyson, that Tyson don't know how to play, right? He said Tyson don't know how to play. He said when Tyson hit him in the chest, it felt like a Mack truck had hit him. He said he could not believe at the age of 54 that Tyson still had power like that. You know what I'm saying? So how in the hell is it a few years later that Tyson gets in the ring with this clown, Jake Paul, and he all of a sudden don't know how to attack his opponent when he sees openings in the ring? How is that all of a sudden he no longer knows how to throw a punch when he sees an opening? There were many openings in that fight Tyson did not take. It's plain and clear that Tyson was holding back. That's why he was biting on his gloves and doing all types of things, because that's all muscle memory, yo. You know what I'm saying? When you're dealing with boxing and all that, and you've been doing it all your life, that's instant reaction to certain moves that you do in boxing. That's like automatic. So Tyson was holding back in that fight. We all know this. He threw the fight. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that he stepped in and knocked this clown on his butt and get him out of the ring and get him out of boxing, because he's no good for boxing. This clown had no reason having anyone being interested in any type of fight that Jake Paul was trying to get together to grab people's attention. None of those fights should have grabbed anybody's attention. None of them. Matter of fact, nobody should have even paid for such buffoonery. This is all buffoonery, and people are this desperate to be entertained, man. Where you'll pay for something that you know good darn and well is rigged from the jump, but you'll psych yourself out and say, you know what, maybe this won't be rigged. Well, in this one fight here, Joshua took a stance for boxing and knocked this clown on his butt, and I am so happy to get him out of boxing. Boxing, man, I'm a real big fan of boxing, and cats like this, you know what I'm saying, Jake Paul, coming into boxing and just completely making a mockery of boxing. I mean, you know, it's just sad, man. And I'm glad he did that for boxing, man. You know, there's a lot of guys who blood, sweat, and tears went into training. Blood, sweat, and tears went into a lot of these fights that people bought, and a lot of these fights that people went to, you know what I'm saying, just to be entertained. And people don't understand the dedication you got to have in order to be a top tier fighter in boxing. As a matter of fact, any sport, but boxing definitely, because that's where my heart is at when it comes to combat fighting. You know, I'm not a huge fan of MMA. I think it's a barbaric sport. It really has no art to it. It's just people beating the mess out of each other. That's not artistic to me as a sports fan. Just two guys just beating the mess out of each other. I don't like that type of sport. I like a sport that has a science to it. You did what I'm saying? There's a science to slipping a punch. You know what I'm saying? There's a science to a counter punch, throwing a jab properly. You know what I'm saying? Having great defense. You know, a lot of cats like to use the Philly shell. You know what I'm saying? Or nobody no longer uses the peekaboo style that Tyson had. Tyson really mastered that peekaboo style. I think he's the only one who mastered that peekaboo style. Like, there's a science and an art to boxing, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that where boxing is at today is a tragedy and a travesty. It's really, really terrible, man, you know, being a boxing fan. But I am so happy to see Jake Paul get knocked on his, you know what? I am so happy. But again, he still wins. Why? Because he made hundreds of millions of dollars, you know, making a mockery of the sport. So did he really lose, or did he really win? In my opinion, he came into a sport 5 years in. He put 5 years of dedication into making a mockery of a sport, and he's gonna retire a millionaire. Where there's been guys in this sport who put in blood, sweat, and tears into the sport, training, you know what I'm saying, sparring, hours of sparring, going to the, man, come on, man. This is, you know what I'm saying, this is just it's a tragedy, man. There's guys who put their blood, sweat, and tears into the sport who never had an opportunity that Jake Paul had. Why? Why is that? Because he's a YouTuber? And this is a tragedy to boxing, man. This is a tragedy to boxing. Like I said, man, you gotta really think about it. Did Jake Paul really win or lose in this fight? So, yo, man, you guys leave your comments below what you think about that whole Jake Paul fight. Tell me what you think. Did Jake Paul win or lose? I mean, tell me what you guys think about the Jake Paul fight. All my boxing fans, man, out there, man, men, women, whoever, man. Leave your comments about the fight, man. But yo, man, that's my take, man. Uh, if you haven't did so yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification button so you know when I put up another video. I'm out, guys. Peace.